I want to share with you a story about the founding of MOSO Pillow because now that I've put some videos out this week, I've gotten some text messages from some old friends and acquaintances who haven't been totally privy to my new business idea saying, hey, what are you doing? Why are you getting into the pillow business again? And so I wanted to share with you why. And the story is something like this. You know, towards the end of ownership of my last company, I started becoming more and more aware of the environmental impact of the products that we were making, most specifically polyester. And polyester is a petroleum derived plastic that sheds microplastics. And so I was looking for ways to maybe recycle polyester pillows, knowing that every time somebody bought one of our pillows, another one was going to end up in a landfill. And so I started looking into ways that we might be able to do that. I found that process to be very cumbersome and expensive, and also the resources required to transport pillows to a recycling center also had a further detriment on the environment. And so I felt a little stuck. And then I started thinking, okay, well, maybe we can have a pillow company in which we somehow offset the damage of our products. Maybe we do a buy a pillow, plant a tree, or we use renewable energy in our processing plants as a way to offset some of the damage of the products. But that still did not feel like what I was trying to accomplish. And then I was reading this book called Neither Wolf Nor Dog by Kent Nerburn. It was given to me by a good friend and neighbor of mine. And there was a story in that book that I want to relate to that was the direct inspiration for what eventually became MOSO Pillow. But the story, Kent worked on Indian reservations in education. And so this story is about a social worker who came onto the reservation and confronted this elder about all the trash that he saw on the reservation. Candy wrappers, pop cans, plastic bags, stuff like that, and broken and busted out, rusted out cars. And he starts lecturing the elder, telling him, they should really clean up all of this trash. And the elder looks back at the social worker and says, look, all that trash, all that garbage, that's from your people. That's not from our people. If you have any sense of our history, you'll know that for thousands of years, when we needed something, we pulled it out of the natural environment, whether that was fur for clothing or bones for tools or whatever the case may be. And that as those things degraded and no longer became useful, we left them on the side of the trail where they further degraded and became part of the earth. So this yelling at me about the things that you invented and have now polluted our world is a misplaced frustration. And when I read that, I thought, gosh, what if I could create a pillow that didn't actually need to be recycled or didn't really need to be offset? What if I could create a pillow that was actually made from all natural fibers, that if it was kicked off a boat or buried in the ground, would biodegrade back into perfectly harmless vegetable matter, right? And so that was the inspiration for MOSO Pillow. And through engineering and some creative design work, we eventually did come up with 100% all natural bamboo pillow. And I know you think there's lots of bamboo pillows out there, but if you check your label, most of them are filled with memory foam or polyester, both which are microplastics. And so we found this strain of bamboo that worked perfectly for what we were trying to accomplish, and that strain was called MOSO. And so that's why our company is actually called MOSO Pillow, is because that's the strain of the bamboo that we were using. So I was very excited to get questions about that story and very excited to share it with you. And I hope you'll understand that that is our mission here, is to make all natural fiber pillows that are good for your health and good for the environment. And so if you're interested in learning more, I would encourage you to visit mosopillow.com. And if you found this story inspiring, I would encourage you to share it with your friends and help us out as we're getting going here. So thank you very much.